The little lady thinks she's a seamstress. Boys, what do you think of her fancy work?
You know that feeling when the whole world decides who you are? They look at you, they whisper. And just like that, you're judged, labeled, and tossed aside. This is a story about a woman who had the whole town laughing at her, literally. She'd lost everything, stood up for a job, and was shoved right into the dirt. Everyone watching walked away, comfortable in their cruelty. Everyone, that is, except for a 6-year-old girl. What happens when a child sees past the gossip and shame and forces her father, a heartbroken widower, to make the most controversial choice of his life? It sets off a chain reaction that proves love can bloom even when it's planted in the dirt of public scorn. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about finding love, it's about claiming the home you deserve. The town square and the humiliation. The dust in the town square was hot and thick. It was hiring day, and that meant Foreman Boyd was king. He was a man who enjoyed his power, and he made sure everyone knew it. He'd saunter up to a line of women looking for work, cooking, cleaning, helping on the ranches, and he'd pass judgment faster than a summer storm. When Daniel Hardin stepped into the square with his little girl Abby, he knew exactly what he wanted: a clean, quiet housekeeper. He wanted practical, reliable, and someone who wouldn't draw attention. He certainly didn't want any trouble. Boyd made short work of the first few women, joking with the pretty, polished ones. Daniel watched, detached. Then came Iris Holbrook. She was plain, not ugly, but plain. Her dress was faded green, her face was a bit too round, and she clutched a bundle of sewing samples like they were the last things she owned. When Boyd asked her name, his smile just vanished. "Iris Holbrook, sir," she said, her voice shaking just slightly. "I can cook, clean, and sew, but I can also haul water, chop wood, and keep pace on a working ranch. I've done it before, I just need a chance." Boyd didn't even look at her sewing. He just snorted. You'd break the axe before you split a log, girl." The laughter started, small and ugly, rippling through the crowd. Daniel felt a twinge of discomfort, but reminded himself, not my business. Iris stood her ground, her face burning. "Please, sir, I'm a widow. I just need work to live." That only fueled Boyd. He mocked her to the crowd, asking if anyone would hire this delicate flower. Then came the shove. Some mean-spirited person pushed her, sending her sprawling, scattering her sewing bundles in the dust. The crowd roared with laughter. They didn't see a desperate woman, they saw entertainment. Iris, with trembling hands, gathered her things. She walked away, finding a quiet bench at the edge of the square, and finally, she let the tears fall. Part B. Abby's stand, approx. 6 o'clock, 13 o'clock. Daniel found the woman Boyd approved of, Margaret. She was tall, polished, and had a practiced, confident smile. She was exactly what Daniel thought he needed: respectable, experienced, safe. "She'll do," Daniel told Boyd, sealing the deal. He turned around, ready to tell Abby they were going home, and his heart dropped. Abby was gone. Panic set in fast, but then he spotted her. Abby was sitting next to Iris, her little legs swinging, completely unfazed by the broken woman beside her. "Papa, they were so mean to you," Abby told Iris. Iris, surprised, blinked away her tears. "A little, sweetheart." "My mama used to say life isn't always fair," Abby said. She paused. Then, with the simple logic of a child, she looked at Iris, who had confessed she had no children. "Then you can be my mama." The words hit Iris with a profound shock. She wasn't just seen, she was chosen. Daniel rushed over, relief and embarrassment warring on his face. "Abby, we're leaving, now." He led her to the wagon, trying to be gentle but firm. "We already hired someone, honey. The woman Boyd chose." Abby dug in her heels. "But I don't want that other lady. I want Miss Iris." Daniel tried to explain the rules, the council, the gossip, all the things a grown man uses to justify a cowardly choice. "It's complicated," he muttered. Abby crossed her arms, a stubborn set to her little chin. "Papa, you have to choose her. If you don't choose her, I'm not going home." That's when the town busybodies started gathering. Boyd, Matron Walsh, they loved a spectacle. They told Daniel to control his child, to take Margaret and forget the rejected one. Daniel looked at Margaret, who was already gossiping and laughing with another woman. Then he looked at Abby, her face wet with tears, but full of pure, fierce love for a stranger. Finally, he looked across the square at Iris, small and defeated, yet radiating a quiet grace. He made his choice, the one he knew would cost him his reputation, but save his daughter's heart. Fine, Daniel said, his voice firm. I'll take her. Not Margaret. I'll take Iris Holbrook. Boyd's sneer froze on his face. Daniel didn't wait. He crossed the square and spoke to the woman the whole town had mocked. Miss Holbrook, you're coming with us. The quiet rhythm and shared scars. The ride to the ranch was long, heavy with unspoken things. Abby was nestled between them, watching Iris like she was a dream that might vanish. Iris, meanwhile, was terrified. She was a burden, a complication, and she knew it. She didn't belong here. Daniel, too, was silent, jaw tight, staring at the road. He was realizing the price of his moral stand. It was Abby who broke the tension, leaning against Iris. Do you know any songs? Iris sang a low, off-key but warm song about a sparrow. Abby joined in, making up words. Daniel's rigid shoulders loosened, just a hair. When they arrived, the ranch was modest but solid. Daniel showed Iris her small private room. He laid out the rules, meals on time, mending as needed, and watching Abby. But if something is too much, he paused, looking her in the eye, I'll manage. That afternoon, Iris set to work. She wasn't the type to sit still. She swept, she organized, and she made a simple stew with potatoes and carrots. Abby, who usually made messes, was allowed to help. Iris didn't correct her uneven potato peels. She just smiled and praised the effort. She made a point of letting the girl feel useful and loved. At supper, Daniel took a bite of the stew and froze. This is good. The unexpected praise, the shift in his gaze, was more than just appreciation for the food. It was recognition. Later, outside, Abby was showing Iris the meanest hen. When the hen pecked Abby's hand, the little girl yelled, "She hates me!" Iris laughed, a real, surprised, joyous sound. She's just protecting her babies, like a mama should. But you were brave, honey, and brave people get pecked sometimes. Doesn't mean you stop trying. From the barn door, Daniel watched. His first wife, Sarah, was beautiful, yes, but she resented the ranch, and she resented Abby for tying her down. She never would have knelt in the dirt and made courage feel like enough. He finally understood that what he thought he needed was a lie, and the answer was in front of him. What he had thought was a simple hire was rapidly becoming something else. He realized that for Iris, his ranch, his daughter, his life, it was a second chance, a quiet redemption. And the people who mocked her in the square would one day learn why when they saw how her quiet strength saved his family, proving that the title holds true. Everyone mocked his bride until they saw how she loved him. Later that night, Daniel found Iris mending his shirt by lamplight. She hadn't been asked, but she simply saw a need. He brought her a quilt. They sat in the dark porch, and the silence was deep, drawing out confessions. Daniel told her about Sarah, his beautiful wife, who secretly hated the ranch life and tied him up in guilt. Iris told him her own heartbreaking truth. Her husband had married her on a bet, thinking it was funny, and when he died, she felt free, then horribly guilty for that freedom. They looked at each other, two people scarred by beautiful lies. We married the wrong people, Daniel whispered. Iris nodded slowly, a profound calm in her eyes. Maybe that means we finally know what the right person looks like now. The gathering storm, the rhythm of the next few weeks, was a fragile, growing thing. The house was warm, the coffee was good, and Abby was always climbing into Iris's lap. But outside, the storm was brewing. Mrs. Fletcher, the neighbor, stopped by for a trade. Her eyes like knives when she saw Iris. She barely spoke to Iris, but her voice carried outside to Daniel. That woman? The one they all laughed at? It's improper, Daniel. An unmarried woman and a child under the same roof. People will talk. The council will step in. Iris heard it all, standing frozen. The old shame, the feeling of being unwanted, crept back like a chilling tide. She tried to become smaller, quieter, trying to disappear. Then came the day Abby slipped on the porch steps. She scraped her knee, a bad one. Daniel found them inside. He went pale when he saw the blood, ready to panic. But Iris was already there, scooping Abby up, speaking in soft, sure tones. It stings, I know, Iris soothed, gently cleaning the wound. But you are so brave. Daniel watched her hands, gentle, sure, never critical. His wife would have scolded Abby for being clumsy. Iris just held her, focusing only on the healing. He realized Iris wasn't just practical. She was a quiet, steady force of nature. Later, Daniel found her on the porch. "Thank you for today, Iris. I should have said it sooner." "You don't need to thank me," she replied, staring out into the evening. "Yes, I do," he insisted. He knew that what he was doing was risky, but what he was building felt far more valuable than reputation. The ranch was only half a home before. Now, it was the home. And what Daniel didn't realize when he hired her was that this woman, who he initially only wanted to cook, would become the one he needed most, fulfilling the quiet promise of the title. Lonely widower hired her only to cook, but what he needed most was her heart. The line in the dust. But the town wasn't ready to let them be. The real trouble started when 3 cowboys, led by the same mean-spirited Tom who had pushed Iris in the square, rode up to the ranch house. They were crude, circling Iris as she hung laundry, making disgusting comments and mocking Daniel's character. "She'll ruin you, Hardin. Whole town's talking. The council won't stand for it," Tom yelled, laughing. Daniel stepped out from the barn, his fists clenched, his voice steel. "Get off my property. This is your last warning." They rode off, their cruel laughter echoing. Daniel found Iris shaking, holding a sheet up to her face. She whispered the one thing that truly scared her. "What Tom said was true? My reputation? Abby's future. I'm risking everything just by being here. I'll leave before they can hurt you." "I don't care," Daniel said fiercely. "You should." The next night, the buggy arrived. It was Matron Walsh and the preacher's wife, both stiff and unforgiving. They demanded a meeting. "Mr. Hardin," Walsh stated without preamble, "this arrangement is improper. It is scandalous. Either she leaves or you marry her properly. You have 1 week." Before Daniel could even speak, the door flew open. Abby stood there, trembling with fury. "Stop being mean," she shrieked. "You want Miss Iris gone, but she stays. She makes Papa smile. She makes me happy. You're trying to ruin it." The child's raw, pure defense stunned the women into silence. They left, defeated by a 6-year-old. After they were gone, Daniel stood rigid, looking at the woman who had brought laughter and light back into his house, and whose very presence was now threatening to destroy him. "You didn't cause this, Daniel," Iris whispered. "They did," he replied, "but I have to make a choice." The real question. The next few days were excruciating. Daniel found excuses to be near Iris, fixing a cabinet, bringing her wood, their hands brushing constantly. The atmosphere was charged with the ticking clock of the council's ultimatum. One afternoon, Abby was trying to make a bed for the barn cat in the hayloft. Iris climbed the ladder, and Daniel appeared to steady it. Iris turned, her foot slipped, and she fell backward. Daniel dropped the ladder and lunged, catching her around the waist, pulling her against his chest as they tumbled into the soft hay. They landed tangled. Iris was sprawled across him, her palms resting on his chest, inches from his face. Time simply stopped. He saw the gold flecks in her eyes, felt her breath on his cheek. "Are you all right?" he managed, his voice rough. "Yes," she whispered. His hand rose, cupping her cheek, brushing the hay from her hair. He leaned in just slightly. "Screech!" Abby's joyous shriek shattered the moment. "You were kissing! Does this mean wedding?" They sprang apart, hay everywhere, both breathless. Daniel turned back to Iris, a serious look on his face. "She's not wrong about the kissing," he said. "I wanted to. I still do. But when I kiss you, Iris, I want you to know it means something solid. It already does." That evening, they sat on the porch. Daniel cut right to the heart of the matter. "What they said about the week, I've been thinking." "I'll leave before the week is up," she offered, her voice steady. "I won't trap you." "And what if I don't want you to leave?" His gaze was intense. "Not because they're forcing me, but because when I think about you walking away, I can't breathe. Because this house feels like home. Because my daughter laughs again. Because I love you." Tears spilled down Iris's face. "I love you too, since you stood up for me in that square." Relief washed over him. "The council gave us 5 days left. I don't want to wait. I don't want to give the town a chance to interfere again." "Iris Holbrook," he turned to face her fully, squeezing her hand. "Will you marry me?" Not because they demanded it, but because I choose you, because I need you. Yes, she laughed through her tears. Yes, Daniel. The public choice and coming home. Abby screamed with joy when they told her. When do we get married? Soon? Daniel looked at Iris. Actually, he said, why not tomorrow? Iris looked at him, remembering the council, the deadlines, the way waiting felt like giving their enemies power. Tomorrow, she said firmly. She had no dress, but Daniel found his mother's simple, cream-colored gown perfectly preserved. She would want you to have it, he said. Abby picked wildflowers for Iris's hair. The next morning, the day felt crisp and clear. Iris was terrified. What if they mock us? She whispered. Let them, Daniel said, his voice firm. We are getting married in the town square, right where this whole thing started. He was not hiding her. She was rejected in that square. Today, she would be chosen there, publicly, so everyone knew. They rode into town, Daniel, Iris, and Abby. People stopped. Boyd pushed through the crowd, sneering. You're really going through with this? Marrying her? You're a fool, Hardin. Daniel stepped closer, lifting his voice so everyone could hear. Maybe, but she's worth more than this whole town combined. She's kind when you were cruel, strong when you tried to break her. And I love her. Anyone who has a problem with that can leave. Nobody left. The preacher, looking uncomfortable, started the ceremony. They stood in the same exact spot where Iris had fallen in the dust weeks ago. She looked at Daniel, his honest eyes, and at Abby, smiling beside them. When Daniel kissed her, the crowd erupted. Some clapped, some walked away, but the gossip faded in the face of such public, unashamed love. Why are you crying? Daniel whispered against her ear. Because I never thought I would be seen, she choked out. You were never invisible, he promised. Not to me. They rode home as the sun set, the three of them. Abby chattered about being officially a family. Daniel helped Iris down from the wagon. How do you feel, Mrs. Hardin? He asked. She smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. Like I'm home. You are. The woman who had been rejected, humiliated, and invisible was finally seen. The man who had been alone had a family. And in the heart of a rough ranch, love proved stronger than judgment. If this story made your heart ache and then swell with happiness, let me know. Every time you like this video, you are telling the algorithm to show stories of true redemption to more people who need to see them. And if you want more deeply human narratives that peel back the layers of history, hardship, and the simple power of choosing love, make sure you subscribe to Ironveil Narratives. Hit that bell so you don't miss our next story. Thanks for watching.